I'm Doreen Ashton-Wagner, host of Pivot Points. This is a series that is presented by the Cornwall and Area Chamber of Commerce. Today, I am here with Arisbe Castellanos of Cocina, a business that she's going to tell us all about, including her pivot points. Welcome, Arisbe. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Yeah. I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your professional background and how you got started with this business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, a little bit of me. I was born in Mexico, born and raised in Mexico. And my husband and I, we moved to Canada almost 12 years ago. Back in Mexico, I was working for the food industry. I have a background in food chemistry. There, I was able to learn a lot about the hands-on in the profession, right? Like all the different, or a lot of the different things that you need to know about when you're working in the food industry. When we moved to Canada, I was able to stay at home for a while with my kids, and then I decided that I wanted to go back into my field. Mm-hmm. However, I didn't want to be away from my family that much, so I started to do a little bit of cooking classes in using my background of Mexican food, right? So I started doing a little bit of cooking classes, and then I did a little bit of catering. And even though I enjoyed it, I still knew that I could do more. And I decided to start my own business, focusing more in developing my line of products, right? In this case are my different salsas and my corn chips. And I really like to share how we use them in Mexico, right? It's a condiment. It's not only a traditional chips and salsa, but you can go beyond that. So yeah, that's how I started my business.
And that's how I started to get to know you a little bit better too, because I bought some of your salsas and your corn chips and so on. So I think that's fascinating. So really moving to Canada was a big change for you, and also pivoting into the culinary aspect and producing food. So I think that's wonderful. Tell us a little bit more when it comes to making changes in your business and making some decisions. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, when you decided to start the business, did you go through a program or do something to learn about how to be an entrepreneur? You came from a scientific background. It's a little bit different, right?
Yeah. At the beginning, I didn't. At the beginning, like the first 2 years, it was just like, I just go for it, right? I really didn't do any program or find any mentorship. However, once I started to learn a little bit more, I knew that I needed help. I knew that I needed to learn about aspects that I didn't know, right? The financial, the numbers in my business, the making all those decisions like based on numbers, right? So I started to join a couple of programs online and here in the city. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started to kind of make better decisions for my business and really focus on what I wanted, right? Instead of doing a little bit of here, a little bit of there, it was more like now I really want to focus on doing one thing. In this case was my line of products, developing that part of the products.
Mm-hmm. And tell me, I mean, I got to know your product by buying it in a retail outlet, but you were doing other things when it came to selling and so on. Farmers markets, was it? Tell me a little bit about that, your distribution when it came to getting your products out.
Yeah, that was my first approach, farmers market, right? Like I need to get place my product in front of customers or potential customers. So that's what was my first approach, go to a farmer's market. So I started in one of the farmer's market here in the city. Mm-hmm. And it was good. Like people received it well and everything. And then I started to attend other markets. I wanted to have a larger reach, not only in the city, but go beyond the city, right? So I started to attend other markets in other cities around the area. And that was good. Like, again, people started to receive it well. However, I knew that if I really wanted to do this like a business and not only like a hobby, I really needed to make big changes, right? And one of those was to do a rebranding of my business. I had my regular mason jars and a nice label or whatever, but I knew that with that I wasn't going to be able to go into larger retail stores or have a larger presence, right? So that's when I decided that I really needed to rebrand and bring a different face to my product. So I went through that process with a team that said, okay, this is what I want for my business. This is where I want to bring it to. And one of the first steps was I need a new branding for my products, right? So we went through new labels, new jars, having a website, because I didn't have one, right? So having a website, having that presence and giving it that formality, if you want to call it, to the business. So that was a big step. And then with that, well, now I had the confidence to go to a store and say, hey, look, this is what I have to offer. And that's how that was my next step, right? It was farmers market, and I'm still doing some farmers markets, but I'm also doing retail now too, right? And that's kind of the next steps. Keep going into different stores to be able to place my products, and in different regions, not only here right now. So
now, of course, if we think back about a year ago, there was this little thing called a pandemic that was declared, right? And tell me, what happened in your business at that particular point and the changes you felt you had to make in order to still continue to operate and to exist? Walk me through that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I still remember like the day that we heard from the news, right? Like it's a pandemic and everything basically is going to shut down. So of course for me at the beginning was like, it was a big news, and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to attend farmers markets. Schools were closing. In those days, I was still doing a little bit of catering for schools. So there was no schools. So it was like, okay, now what, right? Like zero income. It was 1 week where I said, okay, I panicked. Yes. I said, but now, okay, I have to move on, right? Like, what are we going to do now? So I did a couple of things. The first one was I started doing a delivery service for Cornwall. So I generated an online form. I started to advertise on my social platforms that you can place orders and I will deliver. So that was very, very nice. People were like super supportive, and that was fantastic. So that was one of the first things, right? Okay, instead of just crying or just feeling bad for myself, I knew that I had to do something different. So that was one of the first things. And then that also pushed me to start moving forward and pushing a little bit more to get into retail stores. I knew that I wanted to do that, but I wasn't really sure if it was going to be that year, like 2020 or 2021. Well, it ended up doing me 2020, right? Because that was, I had to do it. Like that was, and there was a lot of support again, like retailers were willing to bring in new products to stores. I started approaching some of the stores and they were, yes, let's do this, right?
So what did you do? You just picked up the phone and called them up? Is that how easy it is? Or
well, it can feel easy, right? But it wasn't that easy. I had to develop that courage. But you know what? It was more like I would send them emails like, hey, like this is what I have to offer. This is my products. This is my website. Like my website gave me such a confidence that people could go to my website and see the product, right? And the product looks, in my point of view, looks pretty, like it looks very nice. So that would give also the retailers like a sense of we're bringing a quality product into our stores, right? And it was basically like just call, emails, send messages and get their attention and explain them, right? Like what it is about. And I can't guarantee you sales, but I can help you with promoting the product and, working together. I see it as a partnership. It's not only me selling you the product, but working together. And something that I like to tell them is let's grow together, because if you grow, I grow. Like it's a partnership. So let's grow together. And yeah, a lot of people said yes. A lot of people said no too. Right. And that was something that I was kind of ready in the terms that in the sense that when I was at the farmer's market, some people just didn't want to buy, and that was okay. So I kind of had developed that sense of not everybody's going to say yes.
That
My
thick
product
skin.
is yes, my product is not for everybody, and that's okay too, right? I can understand that now. It's not I'm going to feel offended, no. And there was some cases where people said no, and then they contact me and said, you know what, yes, let's do it.
Absolutely. And how many retail stores are you in now?
Right now, my products are in 15
That's
stores
great.
right now. Yeah. At the beginning of the pandemic, I was in 3 places, and then that was the result of just approaching and working with them too, right? And again, like I said, like a lot of people were a little bit hesitant at the beginning, and then it's just like, yeah, we really like this. Like people are really, like customers are really enjoying the product and are willing to pay that extra for it. So yeah.
That's great. Now, you've also done some online promotions and things. I heard you say partnerships.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit more about what you've done to promote your products and working with others as well?
Yeah. Something else that I knew that I really wanted to do with my business is work with other producers, right? I didn't really know in what capacity or how it was going to be, but I knew that I wanted to work with them. So again, when the situation presented of the pandemic, like it was like, okay, now what else can we do to keep bringing in like the income, but also working together? So that's when I kind of said, okay, I want to do some sort of collaboration with other vendors, with other producers in the area. So I just started to kind of brainstorm, and then I said, okay, it was Father's Day was coming, and I said, okay, maybe I can do something with other vendors that would be a collaboration that we all would benefit and help us promote our businesses and also bring sales, because I mean at the end we're a business, right? So we need that income. So I approached Rebranding here in the city, and I asked them if they would be interested in doing some sort of collaboration. At that point, I didn't really know how it was gonna end up, but they were completely on board. And then we started brainstorming with them too, and we ended up doing a Father's Day gift basket, which included 4 different vendors in this area, and people received it very well. It was very well. It was a way to promote other businesses, to bring awareness of other businesses, and to bring that extra income, or that income that we could that was needed, right?
And how did it work? You promoted it on social media, or can you give me some hints as to how you got that done?
So it was a learning curve, and it still is a learning curve, right? Because it was my first collaboration. So I knew what I wanted. I didn't really know if it was going to be the best way to execute. So what we did was we got the products that we wanted to be part of the collaboration. Some pictures were taken, and then what we did basically was that, like, there's going to be an ordering form where people can place their orders, and we all have to promote it, right? To make it more successful and to have a larger reach, everybody has to help with the promoting. So that's what we did. Like, everybody started promoting it. We advertised it online, and people like received it very well. Like, we never thought that we were going to get those numbers, which was very, very nice. So I could say it was successful. I don't know if it was the best way to execute it, but it was successful for us, right? It was a learning curve. It was learning. And after that, we did 3 more. So in the whole year, we did 4 throughout the year.
Okay.
And each of them has been like a learning curve, and it's still going to be learning, right? Like, what is the best way to engage like the other vendors, right? However, I know that it is important for me to help other producers, to bring awareness of other producers, because there's so many very, very good vendors around here, producers, and a lot of people don't know them, right? So if I can help bringing awareness of them, I think that's a good way to work.
You keep referring to learning curve, and I love to hear that, because I think that's a really good way to explain. I mean, a pivot is a move, right? I guess there is a curve somewhere in there. So what are some of the things that you learned along the way?
If I'm going to work with somebody, if I'm going to invite somebody to work with, we have to be aligned with the same goals, right? At the end, have very clear goals of what are we doing, why are we doing it. We have to be on board. We need to make it a collaboration. It's not only because I'm initiated, I'm gonna have to do all the work. So that's something that I really learned. Like, if whoever I'm gonna be inviting to be part of that collaboration has to really, really want to be part of it, right? And help to promote it and help to bring awareness of that. So something that's very important, have the same goals and work towards that. So that's one thing. And then the other thing would be like, even the price point, right? Like, we have to know that there's a price point that people will want to pay for it. And maybe that over that, it's not going to be the best decision, right? So we had different price points for the baskets, for the different collaborations that we did. And we can say, okay, this is going to work for what we want to do, right? So that would be something else, like choosing a right price point for that collaboration. But basically, I would say, like, whoever is working together, we have to be aligned. Like, it has to be beneficial for everybody, right? Not only one or two, and then the other ones don't work together. So, and it's important because, again, we're going to be promoting each other, right? So it's important that whoever we're working with, we're really aligned to them.
Thank you for those tips. That's really great. And I look forward to seeing more of those collaborations, those baskets. And is there anything else that you would like to share, just in closing words of wisdom from Arisbe?
You know what? I think that's something that I learned too, is that things are not going to be perfect. And sometimes we just have to go with it, right? Just have to execute and learn from it, because it is that way. Like, this is the reality. We can't have things perfect at the first time, and maybe they're never going to be perfect, but we have to have kind of the courage to go and do it and risk, right? Being successful, or maybe not, but do it, right? Like, try to do it and just have that courage to do things.
Action is important, and perfection, well, is it real at the end of the day, right?
True, yes.
Yes. Exactly. Arisbe, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all those tips and your story, and I wish you well in 2021 and beyond.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here. Thank you.
On behalf of the Cornwall and Area Chamber of Commerce, thank you for listening and being here and learning all about pivot points.